Joining us now, criminal defense attorney Ted Williams. Ted, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, all of this, we found out this morning that Letitia James would be holding this news conference. We were told a major announcement would be coming. We sort of were able to connect the dots because it was just yesterday that Cuomo sat down for that videotaped interview with the independent investigators for 11 grueling hours. He faced a barrage of questions about these victims and their allegations. And we were told there were some tense moments in that 11 hours of questioning, including at one point, it was described during this lengthy session that Cuomo confronted Mr. Kim, one of the investigators, challenging, as you even just heard Cuomo himself there, his fairness and independence as a result of his past investigation into the governor and his allies. Ted, your response to what we just heard and what is next for the governor? Will he resign?
You know, I got to tell you, I listened to this press conference and what I heard there, and if these matters can be proven, I can tell you it is devastating. It is devastating not only for the governor, but it's devastating to the citizens of the state of New York that your governor, under these circumstances, is a gangster. He not only sexually harassed these individuals, according to the Attorney General, but he tried to intimidate them. He tried to retaliate and did retaliate against some of these individuals. And what we must realize here is that when you're talking about sexual harassment, as a lawyer, I do a lot of sexual harassment cases. You're talking about power. And the governor had this power, and this power was used against women. The women stood up, those brave women, and they said, enough, enough is enough. And what you find here is a governor that's out of control. He's an embarrassment if these charges are proven. And yes, he should step aside. But not only should he step aside in this, I believe that there needs to be a criminal investigation. I was somewhat taken back when the Attorney General reported that it all ended in a civil litigation or investigation. These charges, if he touched somebody inappropriately, that's an assault, and he should be possibly charged. There needs to be a further investigation, but yes, he needs to step aside. This man, if he did the things that were brought out this morning, is a sexual predator. And no woman should have to go through that gauntlet just to survive in a job. It is so inappropriate. As I listened to this, it just made me more and more pissed off that a governor of a state, the governor of the state of New York, would treat women in this manner.
Yeah. And retaliate for them coming forward in some instances. You heard Letitia James describe on at least one occasion her investigation found Cuomo and his senior staff worked to retaliate against a former employee who accused him of wrongdoing. There seems to already be reaction from some of those 11 victims. Anna List, thank you to everyone who expressed support, she says out loud and in whispers, for hugs and hand squeezes and texts. Thank you, Lindsey Boylan. She goes on to thank the other accusers who came forward. Also, one from Karen Hinton. Yes, meaningful report for women everywhere, not just New York. So you are suggesting he must step down now. You heard Letitia James detail what she called the violation of federal and state laws on behalf of the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He violated current and former state employees, which is also important. She went on to describe the substantiated and corroborated allegations. She said that evidence will be made available to the public. This is certainly a big day indeed, but for her part, she says her investigation has concluded. She is done.
But I got to tell you, this governor acted and was acting like a organized crime boss thug. There in using that office, the office of the governor of the state of New York. And not only that, there needs to be further investigation about individuals around him, because these individuals allowed and permitted this to go on. There were many individuals, according to this Attorney General, that knew what was going on in the governor's office, and not only knew what was going on, but assisted the government in trying to cover up his activity with these women. Again, I want to make sure we're clear here. We're talking about power. That is what sexual harassment is. The power of a governor over employees, women who just wanted to go to work and make a living. They didn't ask to be touched. This man should resign, and he should resign right away.
Yeah. Again, Letitia James describing what she called a disturbing but clear picture. She heralded those women who came forward, calling them heroic. She said, quote, "I believe them. Thank you for your bravery." Ted Williams, we really thank you for joining us throughout that news conference and joining us after. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.